Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. I'm Joe Becker, and welcome to the PPM Podcast. A couple things to talk about. Some of these things will be again a review because they keep happening as we're doing the monitors. So I need to keep talking about them to try to get these things straight. Okay? Today is January 31st, last day of January. Soon we'll be starting the February podcast to get that out to you, but some ideas. You know, in the past I talked about a patch that you can buy from AED Superstore. They've got them online for other places too. That has a hair removal pad. And these things work great, and I went to order some and they were out of stock, and I thought that was odd. So I started looking around the internet because I figured, okay, somebody else has got them, but virtually everybody was out of stock, and I thought that's pretty odd. So I did some research and found out that the guy that invented this hair removal pad, which is basically a beauty product, not a medical product, had applied for medical with the Food and Drug. Well, when you apply for something like that, he had copies of all the letters and stuff that he submitted. And of course, the FDA is asking them, is this a medical device? Does it require this? Does it require that? Instead of just listing it as a beauty product that removes hair, so now the entire pads and everything are going to be tied up for who knows how long until he gets FDA approval. So I'm hoping that comes quickly because what a great idea that was. The new pads that are with the AEDs are not as sticky, so the concept of putting your pads on, tearing them off to remove the hair really doesn't work. So we've been trying to think outside the box. What else could you use to remove hair quickly that's inexpensive? Because you wreck a set of pads doing that, and that's not cheap. So what's another way? Well, we looked into, somebody made the comment, which we thought was funny, but actually that would probably work, is duct tape. However, you have to use the correct duct tape, believe it or not. The clear duct tape, which I didn't know at the time they even made, but they make a clear duct tape. The clear duct tape is latex free. So someone would say, well, why are you worrying about latex? The guy's in cardiac arrest. Well, because the rescuer could be allergic to latex, in which case now you have the rescuer going into anaphylactic shock while your patient's in cardiac arrest. So again, latex is an issue out there. That's why you don't see very many people with latex gloves anymore. So the clear duct tape is latex free. So if you want to try something like that, or give it a try and see if it even works. But that was the thought that our group came up with, and I think it's kind of cute, and it may just work. And certainly a roll of that is a whole bunch cheaper than a set of pads for your AED. Okay, back to pad placement. Again, we get into this, and I'm watching misinformation we put out to classes about AEDs. Again, remember the AED stops the heart, is not start the heart. People are still saying, oh, when you shock them, you're starting the heart back up. No, you're bringing the heart to standstill with the hope that the dominant pacemaker in the heart kicks back in again and gets the heart in some type of a rhythm. Okay, so again, it can only read a lead 2 presentation. What is lead 2? Upper right, lower left. That's a lead 2. Doesn't matter which pad is where, as long as one's in the upper right, one's in the lower left. The other thing came up was a thing about what if they've got a pacemaker implanted? Okay, again, let me point out, for males, male patients, you will see under the skin a lump. Some say the size of a deck of cards, some say a Zippo lighter size, that you can obviously see that something is there. So you know that the pacemaker is in fact implanted in the patient. In female patients, most of the time they'll put it underneath the muscle structure, so you will see the little suture marks, but you will not see the lump under the skin. Okay, so if you see the suture marks in the upper right area, remember your pad goes to right or left, just to the right or left of those suture marks. Don't break out a ruler and try to measure right or left of the suture marks. The reason why you don't put it over the pacemaker is because the AED will be almost eliminated. It basically, the shock will nowhere near be as strong as it has to be because the pacemaker is a giant insulator under the skin. You will not harm the pacemaker. Okay, so if somehow you did put the pad directly over top the pacemaker, you deliver almost no shock to the patient. You will not harm the pacemaker. Okay, I just heard an instructor the other day talking about how you're going to fry the pacemaker. That will not happen. pacemakers are heavily shielded devices now, not like the old days. So you will not hurt the pacemaker. However, you must look for those indications that the person actually does have an a pacemaker implant. In some respects, the new pacemakers are kind of like little mini AEDs because they do deliver a shock to the patient, which is kind of neat. So we cleared that up, hopefully. The American Heart Association with the AED with a child has kind of caught up to the real world in the fact that the pads for a child go in the same place as the adult, upper right, lower left. The exception to that rule is if the child is so small, the pads would be touching. Well, we've got a pretty small child mannequin here, and I've got real AED pads, and you can get even a lot smaller than that mannequin and still do an upper right and lower left. Remember, left is over here. Okay, 6 to 8 inches down from the armpit, so it's on the left-hand side. So you've got plenty of room to put those pads, and as long as it's in a lead 2 presentation, the AED can read the rhythm, and if they need to be shocked, will arm to fire. Okay, front and back, AED has never been able to read a rhythm front and back. Okay, that's not a lead 2 presentation. So now they're kind of catching up with that in the videos. Make sure your students know the pads go in the same place as the adult, again with the exception if they're so tiny that the pads would touch. So that's clear in their videos now, so it shouldn't be an issue as far as telling your students where the pads go. We got a call literally just yesterday from the Coast Guard saying that they could not accept the American Heart Association e-cards because there was no class number on the card. Okay, that was the first time we'd ever heard that before. So we get in touch with the Heart Association and we said to them, hey, what is this? You got to have a course number? And they go, oh yeah, that's a requirement for the government classes. It's like, well, nobody ever told us that. And how do we handle that? Well, they sent us a form that looks like the certification page for the HeartSaver class. It looks just like it would a typical HeartSaver certification, except it has in parentheses under where the name would be a code number, and that's the code number for the HeartSaver classes. Now, I don't understand why that's not on every form. What difference would it make if every paper had that little bracketed code number on there, which would let them know that's the official course number? So you've got to get a separate form. We have it here. If you need it for a government class or for Coast Guard, let us know and we'll send you out a copy of that form that you just fill in the information and give it to your student, and then the Coast Guard will accept it. So that was something brand new. So I'll pass that on to you. You do require a form that has that code number on it for government classes. Okay. Recording your class. Again, we get instructors telling us, oh, we can't get students for our class because they don't want to be recorded. We are not recording your class. Okay, we don't have enough room or storage material to be able to record every monitored class, especially when the monitors can run up to 3 to 4 hours. So no, we do not record your class. All we are doing is watching your class. So it's no different if I come into your class and sit in the back of your room and watch your class. That's exactly what we're doing. So your phone in the back of the room or your laptop or your iPad, all we're doing is watching just like you would be in a conversation with somebody else on that, either FaceTime or Skype. So that keeps coming up, and again, we are not recording your class. We are just watching your class. Okay. Now, what just happened to me yesterday, it's happened to some of my other instructors, is remember, you give us a time and date. We don't invent a time and date for you. You give us a time and date to do your monitor. And then we scramble, get an instructor, training center faculty to watch your class and make sure it's being done correctly. So if I call you in the morning to check in, and that morning you tell me, oh, the class has been canceled. Well, it says very clearly you need to let us know 24 hours in advance so that we can cancel that training center faculty, so that faculty member is not waiting for your class and finding out now they've wrecked their day, waiting for your class when they could be doing something else. As well as we need to pay them for their time. So they get paid. If you cancel, we still have to pay them. And as such, that means you're going to have to pay for your next monitor. There's no way around that. Okay? We are required to make sure that these classes are being done correctly, I've done several recently that I would qualify as a 5-star class. Top of the line, fantastic. We've had some that are mediocre, but they get all the material done. So the bottom line is, no, if your class cancels, you need to notify us immediately. And it's got to be within 24 hours. Kathy has put in there that if you've only got one student coming, you might want to have another student as a backup or somebody else there that can jump in at the last minute if somebody cancels so that your class can still run, especially if you're doing a mock class or something like that. Okay? So again, there's absolutely no excuse for that. The other thing that we're enforcing now is that we've got 2 types of instructors. We've got the basic life support instructor, which is like 98% of our instructors are BLS instructors. We've got a very small percentage that are Heart Saver only. So if you're a Heart Saver only instructor, then I expect to see a Heart Saver course. If you're a basic life support instructor, then I expect to see a basic life support class. Okay, don't do a Heart Saver course if you're a BLS instructor. The BLS class will then let us see all your equipment. Let's see that you're using the bag valve mask correctly. Again, remember, you're over the head of the patient. You do not use adult mask on infants. Say that again. We've seen that happen again. So, bottom line is, set your classes up. You will be doing a BLS class. It says that in the confirmation letter that you get, that you'll be doing a BLS class. And we've had instructors go, oh, I thought it was Heart Saver. Well, the letters BLS stand for Basic Life Support. So that's the class you're going to be looking for. If you go, oh, well, I don't have the equipment to do that, we will shut the monitor down at that point in time. You know ahead of time, you set this class up, this is a basic life support class we will be looking for. Okay, so no excuses. No excuses. Again, that's pretty much it. This is kind of a short version, not a lot of things to talk about. Probably the important one here was with that Coast Guard thing, and that literally just came in yesterday, so it came in just in time to bring it up for you. As always, we like your inputs. Please feel free to input some ideas for our next monitor, which will be in February, so that's coming up literally the next day. Sometime in February, probably towards the end of February, we'll be doing our next podcast. So if you got some ideas, suggestions, or if we see some more problems in our monitors, in our classes, we will relay them to you, things to correct, things to look for. You can always, if you got questions before you do your monitor, if you've got questions, call and ask. So that'll eliminate the problem of literally that day having a question like, well, why do I have to? No, call ahead of time. Get that all straight. You're certainly welcome to shadow a class if you got questions. Come up here and watch how a class runs so you can kind of refresh yourself and be ready. So a lot of things you can do ahead of time prior to your monitor. And that's pretty much it. So again, thank you for watching. Hopefully this was a good January for you. And February starts tomorrow. Take care, everybody.